ASEAN Newsrooms, and here are more news of the morning updates. Singapore Foreign Minister George YEO, a two-decade veteran of the ruling People's Action Party, was the biggest casualty in the nation's elections as the opposition captures its first ever multiple-seat district. The Workers' Party won the 5-seat district of Aljunied, defeating the PAP ticket led by YEO. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong's PAP, which has ruled Singapore for more than 5 decades, won 81 out of 87 parliamentary seats and 60.1% of the popular vote in the May 7th polls, according to the Elections Department. The opposition won an unprecedented 6 seats in total, opening a new chapter in the city-state's politics. Lee, 59, may face increased pressure to reach out to the growing number of citizens who have questioned government policies during the campaign. Singaporeans turned out by the tens of thousands for pre-election rallies where PAP and opposition candidates offered proposals for dealing with the city's rising cost of living and competitions with foreigners for jobs and housing. The outcome is one that will force the PAP to go back to table and review its policies on social support systems, including those for housing, and see how best to deal with the obvious unhappiness on the ground, said Chua Hak Bin, a Singaporean-based economist at Bank of America Merrill Lynch. His sense is the government can afford to be a lot more generous given its strong fiscal position. YEO, who had promised to lead a push for reform within the PAP, was one of 2 cabinet officials who lost their seats, the other being Lim Hee Hua, Singapore's first woman minister. YEO has been a member of parliament since 1988 and has served in various ministries, including the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Ministry of Information and the Arts, according to the cabinet website. There is considerable resentment against the government and its policies, and some of them run deep. YEO said in an interview with the Straits Times newspaper on May 5th that we have to listen harder to what people say. Candidates competed in single-seat wards or multiple-seat districts called group representation constituencies, or GRCs, where the party that gets the most votes wins all the seats. The PAP lost a GRC for the first time in this election as 6 opposition parties contested a record 82 parliamentary seats.
And about this matter, Kun Arwi Taimisan is on the line with Dr. Gillian Goh, a senior research fellow from the National University of Singapore. Kun Arwi.
Thank you, Kun Ong Anand. And now we're with Dr. Gillian Koh, Senior Research Fellow, the Institute of Policy Studies, National University of Singapore. Welcome to the show, Dr. Koh.
Thank you. Yes, glad to be on.
Thank you. And as the election took place on Saturday and the opposition party won 6 out of 87 seats in the parliaments, and it is quite a change in political history in Singapore. And do you feel that the Singaporeans are ready for a change?
Well, certainly it's a change in the sense that the greatest number of elected opposition members we have ever had was in 1991, where we had only 4 people. Over the years, the PAP government, as well as political analysts, recognized that Singaporeans would like a little more, firstly, diversity in parliament. They would like more opposition politicians in parliament to make sure that there's a check and balance on the power of the PAP. So how do Singaporeans feel? I think Singaporeans want a PAP government which has delivered good governance and development over the past 52 years. But they also want enough number of opposition politicians in parliament to be a check on the government to make sure that policies that it wishes to introduce will be properly debated, and to ensure that the government is always accountable for the outcomes of its policies and programs. So I think it is a very comfortable result for Singaporeans as well as for the PAP.
And how does the ruling party, the People's Action Party, interpret the election outcome? And is the party leader, particularly the Prime Minister, nervous over the opposition's strong showing?
I do not think that the Prime Minister, Lee Hsien Loong, who is the Secretary General of the People's Action Party, would be too surprised. In 2009, he introduced reforms to the electoral system to ensure that opposition parties have easier rules to play under in order to contest general elections. So the system has already been changed so that we would have today's outcome. In the Prime Minister's press conference, he said that the election had allowed for a rigorous debate. Of course, some people would have been quite heated in their views, but that it was an outcome that he respected. And most importantly, it is an outcome that he recognized Singaporeans want, because society has become more diverse and that Parliament should be a reflection of the diverse views on the ground.
And does Singaporeans still vote for a comfortable margin of mandate for the People's Action Party, which won over 60.1% in popular votes? But will support hold, or are we beginning to see some cracks in the ruling party?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that during the elections and even at his press conference, the leader of the People's Action Party, Lee Hsien Loong, said that the PAP has to change the way in which it governs. It has to take heed of the fact that Singaporeans want greater political pluralism. That means that they want opposition politicians to play a greater role to make sure that the PAP government is held accountable for its actions. So, there is that part of it. It has been planned. On the other hand, I am sure that there are also within the ruling party now, the People's Action Party, going to be people who say that they should become more sort of inclusive, to allow for greater debate within the party, greater debate within society and Parliament about different policy points. But I'm sure that there are others who say that there is a certain way that we need to manage policy in a very small, a very open economy like Singapore, a society like Singapore which is very multiracial. There are certain things that cannot be discussed, should not change, so that we can continue to enjoy good governance, social and political harmony.
Thank you so much for joining our show, Dr. Koh.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you.
It's an honor. Thank you.